Okay, sir, again coming back to the environmental protection. Finally, the Environmental Protection Act 1986 and it empowers the central government to establish the authorities charged with the mandate of preventing environmental pollution in all its forms and tackle specific environmental problems that are peculiar to different parts of the country. The act was last amended in 1991. So everybody knows the APA, that is APA 1991, where it involves the lot of standard regulations, legislations, acts, rules, everything followed by the organization who are involvement in the either in the combustible or non-combustible or hazardous, non-hazardous, or whatever the organization they have to take care of the environment. They have to follow this Environmental Protection Act 1991. What is the role of human in environment protection is very important point. Sorry, humans have a crucial, multifaceted role in environmental protection. Very multiple roles, not dual roles like cine heroes and all, but multiple roles has to be uh, implemented by the human to environmental protection. That means encompassing means surrounded by actions from individual choices to policy level inventions, and all aimed at mitigating the damage and promoting the sustainability. That's what I told. Your role is very important, but your multiple roles with environmental protection within the organization and outside the organization, surrounded by what are the actions from the individual choices with respect to the policy level inventions, all aimed at whatever the practices, whatever the procedures aimed at for only to mitigate the damage and promoting sustainability. Not only aimed at mitigating damage, that means reducing reducing the damage and also promoting sustainability is also very important. The stability is also very important. For time being, I am giving some figures, as you know. That is Environment World Happy Earth Day, as well as the ecology concept vector, urban and village landscape. Ecology conservation to natural environment. You have to see that protect environment, life and health. Ecology, environment protection. Icon green tree is also important. Sorry. Coming to the save planets, protection of nature, save the earth, eco lifestyle also we have to maintain. Coming to the principles and practices, the second part, the principles and practices for prevention and control of air pollution, water pollution, solid and hazardous waste management. Here I am glad to what is called tell principles and practices for prevention of control. I'm taking the common, this word. Separately, air pollution is separately treated, and principle and practices and for prevention and control of water pollution is separately dealt with. And the principles and practices for prevention of control of solid hazardous waste management. This 3.9.2 divided into three parts with respect to the principles and practices and the potential hazards and the safety prevention methods also for each air pollution, water pollution, and solid waste management. That's what I separated with your understanding very easily. and elaborately. To effectively prevent and control air pollution, focus on reducing emissions at the source, promoting cleaner technologies, and implementing robust monitoring and enforcement measures, while also encouraging sustainable practices and public awareness. At a glance, it is a very important word to know as a supervisor of the safety as a part of the prevention of control of air pollution by involving the principles and practices to effectively prevent and control air pollution. Focus on reducing emissions at the source. Don't go to the stack emissions reading because of stack emission is the result. The cause we have to see. That means at source we have to see how best we can utilize the source. Then only we go to the stack emissions reading. Stack emission reading as per the PCB 50 milligrams means milligrams annum equivalent. We have to reach the less than that. So at source, how best we can use the methods involvement is there to reduce the emission levels is important. For which they promoting cleaner technologies to achieve the optimum emission levels. What are the cleaner technologies within the process from one to stack, and implementing the robust monitoring and enforcement measurement also. Robust monitoring means where we have to see that our SOP and OCP and the specifications should be implemented perfectly while during the process. And enforcement measure means we have to see that there should not be any shortcuts or tampering by the human workforce. That's called enforcement measurements. While also encouraging the sustainable practices and public awareness also very important for achieving the principles and practices of prevention and control of air pollution. First of all, if we go to the principles, what the principles to control the prevention, control the air pollution. One is prevention is one key, source reduction is one key, sustainable practices is another way, integrated approach is way, and public health uh, focus is also very important. These are the main principles involved in the air pollution. Prevention is key, is main important point is the most effective approach is to prevent pollutants from entering the atmosphere in the first place rather than the relying solely on the cleanup methods. That's what I told. Don't go to the first cleaning of the stack emissions reading first. First of all, we have to see that our the process implementation is in all the stages in perfect way as per the SOP or not, as per the designed procedure is not, that we have to see first of all. The most effective approach is to prevent pollutant rather than entering into the at the last before entering into the atmosphere first place rather than the relying on the solely on the cleanup methods. After entering, then only the cleanup method will be taking place is not good. At source only we have to see that. That means prevention is better than nothing. That we have to see that first point is. Second point is if that situation is arises, it is not cooperating. Simply entering is there. Definitely, the some source reduction will be taken care of. The source is somewhat some differences is there. That's why the entering to the atmosphere is going to the at the end where the cleanup methods is taken care. That's why at the time that your source reduction is not in clear. Therefore, to avoid this, you have to see that source reduction is taken care of instead of taking the cleanup methods at the end. Target the major sources of air pollution such as industrial emissions, vehicle exhaust, and the energy production. Here, the industrial emissions means what are the process in your stacks. And the vehicle exhaust means you are using the battery operated truck as well as the cranes as the what we call this uh, uh, cranes also and also overhead cranes as well as the all moving equipment using by the diesel and all this thing. Energy production is also important, where you can see the electricity generation and electricity use also very important. The source reduction we have to taken care of. Sustain, if not the prevention is not satisfaction by you, go for source reduction. If these two are perfectly placed or perfectly satisfied by you, then it should be locked. It shouldn't be sustainable practices. That same practice should be locked by the workforce, and you have to see that that workforce has to implement such practices. Promote a sustainable consumption of production patterns, including energy efficiency, renewable energy, and responsible waste management is very important for the sustainable practices in order to event the prevention as well as the source reduction also. Integrated approach at the totality, we have to see that. That means my department is okay, then I'm not bothered about second department. No, not like this, sir. Up to raw material to the product, everybody has to see that in totality. In totality, ultimately, the what we call the market department and the sales department and the customer is should be satisfied with your product of farmed. Integrated approach has to see that in totality, every employee has to see that every department ICOM is easy, important for every department, but before department and after department is also important to that department, as I told earlier. Air pollution control requires a multifaceted approach involving government regulations, industry practices, and individual behavior is also very important. That means totally we have to see that what is the multiple affected by the top management along with uh, the implement of the workforce of various levels of various department. Approach is department important involving of the government regulation, that means practices of the standards environmental protection 1991, along with your good management practices, and that's right to the industry practices, and the individual behavior is also very important, that we called as we call as integrated approach. Then only will be achieved as a designed product optimally utilized. Public health focus is also important, because only we are worrying about the inside the compound wall, the environment. No, outside the environment is also outside the compound wall of your organization also very important to maintain, because the human habitation is there. That means public is living there outside your compound walls of the organization. That is the reason public health focus is also very important. Prioritize public health by reducing exposure to harmful harmful pollutants and ensuring access to clean air. You have to see that whatever the discharges from your organization, like solid waste management, hazardous waste management, and the emission levels, and the effluent treatment water and sewage treatment water, everything we have to use that. If suppose your ETP uses for the irrigation, it should be reached to the up to the what are the specifications expected by your organization, that should be taken care of. That means we have to see that the public health is also very important. These are the 4 or 5 principles where we have to take care of the control of air pollution. Prevention key, source reduction, sustainable practices, integrated approach, and public health is very important from the principles we called as. That is what are the rules to be followed. But our the practice is also important. Only rules are there, no use, sir. We have to practice and implement what the principles are saying. The practices also, many are there. One is emission standards. That's why I'm separating the principal practices for the air pollution, water pollution, and the solid waste management also. Otherwise, the combined means you cannot understand thoroughly. That's why I'm separating this. Now, after the principles, how we can implement the principles by having the industrial practice are very important. The practices are generated from the principles only. Therefore, the practices in emission standards and regulations, technology adoption, industrial pollution control, waste management, transportation, energy efficiency, renewable energy, urban planning, and practices continued is the monitoring and enforcement, public awareness, international cooperation, and research and development is also very important for the practices generated from the principles. Emission standards and regulations implement and enforce the strict emission standards for industries, vehicles, and other sources of pollution is also important. What are the emission levels to be discharged by the organization due to the process, and also your vehicle movement in the organization also sees that they are the sources for the air pollution. That way, you have to maintain not only emission standards and follow the standard regulations what Environmental Protection Act 1991 says about it. The technology adoption which you are adapting your technologies should be encourageable, should be purposeful, be serve your financial effort through cleaner technology is very important. That means whatever the cleaner technologies you are invested through the money and installed in your organization, that should be well equipped, that should be well used by the human workforce and get the fruits out of it. That is the main important of the technology adoption. Encourage the use of cleaner technologies such as catalytic converters, fuel efficient vehicles, and renewable energy source also very important, is very important for the technology adoption. For example, NTPC is going for a green hydrogen to the government. That all know that we have to see that that is a very good attempt for the state government and all. Industry pollution control also very important. Implement pollution control technologies such as scrubbers, filters. Industry pollution control measures implement pollution control technologies such as scrubbers, filters, electrostatic precipitators, back filters, and industrial facilities also important. Normally, what I observed during the audit going to the various industries, the scrubbers working is very, very improper, sir. I'm very sorry. Because whatever the flue gases, whatever the vapors, whatever the ultimate gases coming from the your processes go into the scrubber tank. Thereby we are using the spray water of wastewater and all these things that is not properly scrubbed. That means whatever the waste gases are scrubbed and using that water again for the system reuse, that is not proper means you are wasting. One is the scrubber running energy. Second one is wastage of water. Third one is not utilizing properly your dust generated from the system. Three things are there, but it is kept running for the only for auditors and the pollution control boards without having any primary effect is also not there. This is very much article worried about this in these scrub areas. First of all, design is wrong. Where the tapping is important, where the spraying is important, where the download is going to the scrubbed, what is important. That is missing by the industries. In manufacturers also, designing is not proper because of the some of the aspects are hidden by the top management or hidden by the organization. That's why the designers are not giving the best scrubbers to utilize their effect. But in your areas, please see that this will give us the very important information if you design the scrubbers in such a way, not only wasting of water, but also flue gas dust will be tapped, and again, re-energy in the process is important. Filters, of course, we are having. Definitely, sieves technology will be taken care of. Electrostatic filters and bag filters also very important to use the operation. How best we can use the voltage is very important. Plate electrodes and wire electrodes should be properly used, and see that output emission levels is up to the mark of releasing the 50 milligrams per nm cube, what the present norm of the air or the ESPs we can say. But in your area, please, the scrubbers in, efficiency is very important. Waste management is important. How you can reduce the waste, how can you recycle, and how you are doing to disposal is very important. Because the if you take the solid waste management is also there, hazardous waste management is also there. Solid waste management means again using the land filling, or you can use the industry recycle. That is okay, will taken care of by taking the permission from the various ends. But whereas hazardous waste management decided by the top management, that will be presented in the your APPCB consent. That means Pollution Control Board red category concern, waste management and hazardous waste management. That should be, it cannot be recycled, but it should be incinerated, nor neither landfills also. Incinerations which means waste oil is there. The waste oil means should be used beyond 90 days. It cannot be stayed in the organization as per Practice Act. Therefore, we have to deal with the waste oil generation. Some percentage are using the lubrication purpose for the equipment, but normally they are managing the figures only. Waste oil is not returned to the incinerators just by showing in the what we call in the papers. They can use the only for internal lubrication purpose. For if you use the internal lubrication purpose is by waste oil, what is the fresh oil, fresh lubricant oil, and fresh degrease? That is also one way it is consumption. That is also you are wasting this waste oil also. No, we have to see that as per the PCB consentment. That means the CFO. What are the waste oil generated from your organization beyond 90 days should not keep in your organization, and it should not be used for internal lubrication because it is polluted already. Therefore, we have to search for the authorized incinerations or the consent incinerators who are having the consent. That means purification of the waste oil. They have a plenty of the incinerations capacity of the consent orders they have. Even the PCBs also they tell the what is called the various agencies, please see that not to use the waste oil in your internal lubrication, but please see that it should be going to the incineration purpose. Beyond 90 days, it should not be. Else, please.
Hello.
Tell me, sir, Rajesh Garu.
Can I explain what is meant by landfill, sir?
Where's the landfill means that wastage is there, that means you are dumping on the only waste man, on the land itself, sir.
Oh, okay, sir.
And landfill also we can say where the low areas are there. If you have a cement industry is there, if you have a what is called the lime industry is there, the people are asking about our low areas are there, please landfill your waste, and thereby your low area areas also will be landfilled, sir.
Dumping
That
of
is
waste, sir.
the only solid waste.
Oh,
Neither
okay,
hazardous nor is non-hazardous, sir. Non-hazardous only.
okay, okay, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, Rajesh Garu. And the incineration is very important. We have to see that it should be waste oil should be sent to the incineration before 90 days of the generation time. The transportation is also important because the transportation means where you are using the product transported. to your customers, or your raw material is getting from various places to you, and different vehicles, either the industrial vehicles are there, either the customer vehicles are there. Ultimately, what are the vehicles with respect to your organization? Ultimately, the employer is responsible. The transport is also affecting the environment. It is also employer role to taken care of. Encourage use of the public transportation. That means customer transportation, cycling, coming and going, and walking, and promote fuel efficient vehicles and alternative fuels also important. Whether you are using diesel or petrol or kerosene, whatever the fuels you are using for the transportation, it should be effectively used, and see that there should not be any emission levels should be hampered to the not only inside your public and your compound walls of the organization, but also it is beyond the compound wall. It is going from your organization to the customer, and also that's why all the way you are uh, polluting on behalf of your industry. That's why the government is saying that if you suppose one of the auditor, when we are working in our mills, one of the auditor is saying that you are getting the raw material from the Orissa, but all the way the truck is not having the pollution certificates. The inside at the gate also, your organization is not checking by the pollution certificate on behalf of your organization from Orissa to this Visakhapatnam, or Orissa to Rajahmundry, or Orissa to Kakinada, or the vehicle is polluting the air. You are held responsible because your checking mechanism either at their organization, at the source organization, as well as in the usage organization. We will be given a long finding from the Pollution Control Board and the Inspector of Factories also at that time. It is very good lesson for us also. Normally, this area will not be taken care of. Only will be taken care of while after the entering into our gate only. We thought that it is our responsibility. No, from starting from Orissa, after the source gate is already, source gate is so from the source gate to your gate entering, you are held responsible. That means your employer is responsible, or your workforce is important responsible. That means all the way of environment from Orissa to Visakhapatnam, or Orissa to your Rajahmundry, you are polluting on behalf of your organization. That's why the transportation is, that's why use the word is public transportation. Encourage the public transportation, cycling, walking, and all these things important. This is very, very important point. As a safety person, you have to see that also. Energy safety also, supervisor already told many times, environment, health, and safety. The combination of these three is used as a safety supervisor responsible. Energy efficiency is also important. Improve energy efficiency in buildings and industries to reduce the reliance of fossil fuels, where you're using the coal and other diesel or oil and gas boilers, what we discussed. Unless otherwise you are tapping the not only tapping in mines, but also utilizing in the boilers is also very important role to take in care of the energy efficiency. I already told effective and efficiency is important. Efficiency is important. Efficiency is 100%. Renewable energy means transition to renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, and hydropower reduce the carbon emission. Normally, some of the organizations going for the renewable source also now slowly merging into the solar and wind energy hydropower to reduce the carbon emissions. Once you reduce the carbon emissions, definitely greenhouse gas effect will be less, thereby the protection of your ozone, our ozone layer is very safely. Thereby global warming is also taken care of. So principles, how best you can important, the practice is also very much important than this. Therefore, the urban planning is also important. Plan cities and communities with a focus reducing the air pollution, including green spaces, pedestrian-friendly areas, and public air transportation. I already told this transportation coming from the source gate to your gate is your responsibility or our responsibility. Monitoring and enforcement is important. Already told, while monitoring the whatever the parameters before going to the atmosphere, either to the air or to the land or to the water, you have to see that monitoring and enforcement measures will be very strictly before entering uh, pollutants to the environment. Implement the robust air quality monitoring systems and enforce regulations to ensure compliance, which is you have to forcibly use the implementation of the regulation, then definitely the quality monitoring systems will be become a robust, no doubt. The public awareness is important. Raise public awareness about the air pollution and its health impacts, and they promote responsibility behavior also. The public awareness is with respect to your compound area outside the human habitation is there. That public is very important. And your that public will be getting aware about your discharge qualities of the water, air, sound, and the gases, vapors, whatever may be it may. It should be bring awareness of the public. Otherwise, they will have a mishappenings or a misthinking is there or understanding is not proper for to you as well as your pollutants and the public. It leads to the what we call the unsatisfaction and writing letters to the collector about our organization. Thereby, company's image will be damaged. That's why we have to see that public awareness is also important with your discharges of the organization. International cooperation is important. That means why international means global warming is also important. First of all, in our area, the temperature is increasing within your compound wall inside. It is also implicated to the your global. You are one of the participant to uh, increase the air temperature or increase the atmosphere temperature. You are the one of the participant also. That's why global warming means address air pollution through international agreements, collaborations, particularly for transport, transboundary pollution. It's very important point here is. Here I want to tell one important area here is those who are using the carbon boilers, that means coal-fired boilers, they are using now going for the carbon emission trading also. That means UNFCCC, United Nations of Framework of Combining Climate Change, UNFCCC, German city it is there. You go for the carbon trading system in the UNFCCC system, it will be understood why they are becoming much more important, those who are using the coal. Research and development is also important. Invest in research and development to develop new technologies and strategies for air pollution control important. Your R&D department, not only the existing, the procedures are existing, raw materials are existing practices, but also how best they are exploring the possibility of using of the development of new technologies or new strategies in order to reduce the pollution control also. They are part of parcel of the responsibilities. So how to control the measure of air pollution is very important. How to control, one the principles and the practices is over. To combat air pollution in Bangalore, implement a multi-pronged approach, including promoting public transportation, encouraging. I'm giving only Bangalore is one example only. Encouraging sustainable practices, investing in renewable energy, implementing what we call stricter emission standards for vehicles and industry. Because earlier, if you see, the Bangalore is one of the green city. Now it is become not a green city because of this already industry revolution is there in the Bangalore. That's why we have to see that we have to see that very enforcemently we have to implementing and promoting the not only the public transportation but also the encouraging sustainable practices, investing in renewable energies practices, and implementing stricter emission standards what the pollution control boards has given in their consent orders. We have to follow. Individual level actions is very important to break down the control measures also. Reduce vehicle usage, maintain vehicles, conserve energy, avoid burning waste, plant trees, reduce air conditioner usage, use public transport and carpooling, and community and government level actions, develop green spaces, strict emission standards, invest in renewable energy, monitor air quality, implement air pollution control devices, promote sustainable agriculture, waste management handling, and the public awareness campaigns is also important. And the control air pollution methods, in addition to the above, you can say support research and development. You have to see for the investment of the new technologies and the regulation of the air pollution. You have to see that what is the amendments are there in the air pollution. We have to follow. National Clean Air Agreement is also important, and the air emissions testing is important.